Down to the wire for the 4 candidates who want to be Grand Rapids' next mayor.
The primary that will either decide or narrow the field for the city's first new mayor in over a decade is set for tomorrow.
24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey caught up with the candidates. He's live at City Hall. Joe?
Yeah, Sue, Brian, of course, those term limits voted last fall would send current Mayor George Hartwell into kind of a forced retirement by the end of the year, and that's one reason why this primary election coming up tomorrow is being watched very closely. For some candidates, today was the last chance to knock on a few doors, one last chance to get their name out there to would-be voters. One of those candidates, Reverend Robert Dean, was making sure his message was heard loud and clear.
Robert Dean, running for mayor.
We caught up with Dean in the 3rd Ward. He says people are talking about term limits, and he thinks that'll help increase voter turnout. Who does that help?
I hope it helps me. I hope it helps me. I hope people look and say, well, you know, we need fresh ideas. We need new perspective. We need new vision.
Nice to meet you.
The final full day of Rosalind Bliss's campaign was a bit quieter. She's the only candidate on the ballot currently holding office. She, too, is being term limited from her 2nd Ward Commission seat. But Bliss questions whether term limits will be a factor, saying voters she's talked to are more interested in quality of life issues.
I'm hearing issues around neighborhood revitalization, around crime prevention, around I hear a lot of input about schools, and so I've been relaying those to GRPS.
So far, 5,700 of the 7,019 absentee ballots issued by the city have been turned in. That's one factor in City Clerk Darlene O'Neill's prediction of a 15% turnout in Tuesday's election. Now, that compares to 14% in the 2011 general election, when current Mayor George Hartwell faced one opponent, eliminating the need for a primary. If any of the candidates win more than 50% of the vote tomorrow, they get the job. So the last-minute campaigning is important to most. Although John George, the candidate whose main theme is getting fluoride removed from Grand Rapids' water supply, was not going door-to-door today, hasn't since the campaign began. George took a more direct approach by laying out his ideas on his website, and he admits it's not as effective as the more traditional campaign tactics.
I don't think people vote based on issues. I think they vote a lot based on fluff. I mean, how many yard signs did I see? How many robocalls did I get?
Of course, there is a 4th candidate, 26-year-old Mr. Lee, Willard Lee. We stopped by his house to give him a chance to talk one last time on camera before tomorrow's election. He says he is all done talking, declined our interview efforts right there. The polls open tomorrow at 7 a.m. here in the city. Live in Grand Rapids, Joe LaFurgey, 24-hour News 8.